2. And what's up, everybody? You're watching another episode of the Connor Mark Show podcast. Now we're wrapping up the NFL draft. As it's coming to a close, the Eagles are about to pick 233 in the 7th round. That's going to be their last pick of the 2020 NFL draft. Alongside Mark Rogers, I'm Connor Gabe. We're going to be here talking about all of it. It's been a crazy couple of days, obviously, if you've been following it. But what's up, Mark? How you doing?
Good, man. Good.
Good.
And, we'll dive deeper into it, like you said, but the Hurts trade, or not the trade, excuse me, the Hurts pick definitely surprised me. But, we'll dive into it later. But, yeah, good doing the draft with you and Zach the other night. Had fun with that, and happy to get into the draft recap today.
Yeah, and for sure, anybody who listened and watched our live stream Friday night with first round with me, Mark, and Zach, I appreciate it. That means a lot to us here at WCUR. Now we'll start off with the draft. The Eagles are about to wrap up. We'll let you know when they draft their final pick. It's probably coming up soon. But after a live stream Friday, Eagles took wide receiver Jalen Reagor from TCU. And obviously they were trying to trade up for CeeDee Lamb. It just didn't work out. But we had a chance to sit on it a little bit, and I had a chance to think about it. And the more we, thought about it, the more I tend to like it. But as the days continued, the 2nd through 7th round went on. Next day, the Eagles in the 2nd round took quarterback Jalen Hurts from Oklahoma as an ultimate surprise to everybody. People did not see that one coming, even the experts. We'll dive into that. In the 3rd round, the Eagles took linebacker. What's his name?
Davion Taylor
from Colorado. Yeah, so they took an outside linebacker. He's small, but he's fast. He's quick. They only played 2 high school games, and he was really good in college at Colorado. He's a project, but he has a big upside, and I think a lot of people are excited about that one. In the 4th round, the Eagles selected Auburn tackle Jake Driscoll with the 145th pick, tackle from Auburn. Also in the 5th round, Eagles take a second wide receiver, John Hightower from Boise State, fast wide receiver, really productive at Boise State. Round 6. Now, during the 6th round, the Eagles actually traded for wide receiver from the 49ers, Marquise Goodwin. He's been injury-riddled for a while, but he's definitely somebody with a lot of speed as well, someone they can bring into the fold when training camp comes around for wide receivers. Also, during the 6th round, they made a lot of moves during the 6th round. They selected Temple linebacker Sean Bradley, a local guy from Jersey. And he was really extremely productive. People like that pick a lot. Has a lot of upside with the 196 pick. Now with the 200 pick, the Eagles selected another wide receiver, Southern Mississippi, Quez Watkins. I think he's the 2nd fastest 40 time in this draft, right behind Henry Ruggs. And he was someone you can watch him like after the catch. He's fantastic. He really separates and was really eye-popping off the tape. With the 210th pick, Eagles selected another tackle from Auburn, someone who played on the other side with Driscoll, Prince Tega Wanago from Auburn. So that's another pick from Auburn. I see if they actually – so the final pick here for the Eagles, they drafted Casey Toohill, the Stanford defensive end. So that's how they're going to wrap up this draft, a crazy draft, I must say. A lot of ups and downs, a lot of mixed emotions for this. But I'll lead off with this with you. We'll start off with the first pick, just get out of the way, because we did talk a lot about it on the live stream with you on Friday with Zach. They did not go up against CeeDee Lamb. They got Jalen Reagor. We were a little bit upset with how everything fell out, but after sleeping on it over the weekend, what do you think about the whole Jalen Reagor situation, bringing him in at 21?
I mean, for where we were, I think it was a good pick. Jefferson was still on the board, and a lot of people liked him. They're kind of similar players. I mean, Jefferson had that credibility, went to LSU, won a national championship, lit it up. And that, you can't deny that. But, Reagor was, a better option than Howie guys. And I really hope it does work out. He's 5'11". He's, a speedy guy. He can really, break away and create separation from some of these cornerbacks and DBs in the league. So, I hope he develops and he, turns into a good player for the Eagles. But looking at the overall draft, I mean, the Eagles really went wide receiver heavy as they took one in the 1st round and then, as you said, 5th round and then the 6th round. So, they're going to bring those guys in and I'm sure they're going to find someone that can play. And I think that's good. It's competitive for these guys. But in regards to that, I would have liked them to see maybe diversify it a little in the type of receiver they take. These guys are more predominantly speed. I would like to see a guy maybe that is a, bigger stature and can kind of go up and get that ball. So, overall, I thought they did pretty good. They got some linebackers, which I like to see, and some help on the offensive line. So, overall, I said they have a good amount of picks, and I thought it was a pretty good draft. I would give it probably a B.
Yeah, overall, I mean, I'll wait till I go over every pick to give it a grade. With Jalen Reagor in mind, I was disappointed after Friday just because they didn't go up and get CeeDee Lamb, and he ended up falling to Dallas. That was more so, I think, CeeDee going to Dallas than us getting Reagor. Could we have gotten him at 25? Maybe. I don't know. People think that we could have traded back and got him, but there's a lot of people that really liked him. I think he ran like a 4.4, somewhere around there at the combine. People are saying that he's more of a 4.3 speed on tape, even closer to a 4.2 range for late 4.2. I like the pick. I think they needed a guy at deep threat that could stretch the field, and that's been the biggest problem with Wentz with his offense. He's had a bunch of dink and dunk guys. People can't create separation, which clogged up the middle for our tight ends like Ertz and Goddard. And I like Reagor more so than a lot of wide receivers in this draft. I know there's a lot of them because a lot of them got drafted. I think it was like 13 in the first 3 rounds or something crazy But I like the Reagor pick a lot more than I did initially did. But I give that, if we're going pick by pick, I'll give that grade like a B plus. It's not an A, obviously. It would have been an A if you got your guy, like a CeeDee Lamb, Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy type of level player. With Justin Jefferson involved, I like Justin Jefferson a lot, and I would have been happy if we got him too. It doesn't hurt because it's not like he's not. I think there's a far, gap between the top 3 and then Justin Jefferson. I think that Justin Jefferson really, benefited from being with LSU's offense. I'm not saying if that's a product of his, success. I'm saying, I mean, in somewhat it is, but obviously he's still a really good player and worthy of a first round pick. But I still think Jalen Reagor better fits for what they need now than a slot guy just coming off what they have with Greg Ward. But no, I agree. I'll give it a B. What did I say? B plus. Yeah, I'll give it like a B plus for Jalen Reagor to, in the first round. But we'll move over to the second round pick. And this is one shocking the most. I did not see this one coming. And I was watching Adam Kaplan, who's a ESPN reporter who's been covering the Eagles for a while. He did not see this one coming either. No one saw this one coming because he said earlier that he knew Jalen Reagor would probably be the pick for the Eagles because he can just tell before the draft who they like and who they don't like. They did not see this one coming. I don't know what happened, but Jalen Hurts, Oklahoma quarterback, went in the second round. I still don't know. I had time to sleep on it. I'm still hate it. The plan looks like they want to be a quarterback factory is what Howie Roseman said. They want to develop quarterbacks and want to be able to be ready at all times if something happens like Wentz goes down. But drafting somebody that high, even when I think that Jalen Hurts isn't worthy of a second round pick, is kind of crazy. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think anyone agrees who really watches football and kind of breaks down the draft like we do. I mean, he's a really good player, and with the pick that now that we have him, and like I said, I don't agree he's a second round pick, but now that we have him and kind of looking forward, I think I think Peterson can kind of use him in specific packages and kind of throw him in to be helpful with the offense and kind of fool the defense a little bit. So, I mean, it's not really ideal to take a guy like that, though, in the second round. And I think that's what a lot of people are upset about. And I know we kind of discussed it a little bit before the show. But, Zach Bowman was on the board there from Wisconsin linebacker. And, I really thought he was a good pick for the Eagles at that point. And Howie disagreed, I guess. And he said he didn't think Hurts would be on the board there. But, kind of raised some eyebrows in regards to that Wentz just got signed to a 4-year deal. And now you're bringing in a guy to so-called, kind of quarterback factory and kind of, make them better and develop them. So, a lot of question marks surrounding this pick. I know you definitely don't agree with it as many Eagles fans don't. But yeah, I would have liked to seen a possible use to trade this pick if we could have for a higher wide receiver. But, now that he's here, I guess we'll develop him and see how he works out with the offense.
Well, that's the interesting thing because they were talking about what was needed for the Eagles to trade up to around, let's say, the Falcons, because the Falcons are looking at to be a team to trade up ahead of Dallas and ahead of Miami to be able to get CeeDee Lamb, and they were talking about it being a second-round pick. And at the time, I was like, well, you should be able to. I would have given up a second-round pick, if that would have cost you a linebacker or a safety that you really like that could come in and contribute. If you go get a wide receiver like CeeDee Lamb, if he's there. But I said, it's okay, whatever. We'll take the second-round pick. We'll get an impact player. But to go out and draft a guy like Jalen Hurts, who I'm not a big fan of anyway. He's like a third, fourth-round guy to me. He's super athletic. He's strong on his feet. He's a winner. Seems like a great kid. But he's definitely, in my opinion, not going to be a franchise quarterback in this league because that's the reason I think that if you draft a quarterback in the first 2 to 3 rounds, you're hoping this guy would start for you. But it's just that's the surprising part is like they didn't show out the second-round pick to get CeeDee Lamb because they wanted to take Jalen Hurts. And I think the rationale that Howie Roseman used was really vague, didn't really give a good explanation to it. It's one of the most surprising picks I've ever seen the Eagles make. It may actually be the surprise. I remember Marcus Smith was a very surprising pick. Danny Watkins was a very surprising pick. And obviously those didn't pan out. But this is one I just don't see the upside in this because if there's any upside situation with Jalen Hurts, like if he's going to play a level like or play a role like what's his name, Taysom Hill in New Orleans, like that's probably the role I see him playing. But you're really going to shout out a second-round pick for the guy for a Taysom Hill role? And I like Taysom Hill. He's athletic. He's good. He's got big arm. He can do everything for you. He's like, he's like a Swiss Army knife. But it's just insane that I think this is one of those moves that Howie Roseman thinks he's the smartest guy in the room. So he's going to make one of these moves. But I didn't see one guy seeing this coming. I didn't see one guy who liked it either on Twitter and beat writers and experts and stuff like that. So it was just one of the most shocking picks I've seen.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm pulling for him. I mean, we're all Eagles fans here, and we're kind of, hoping it all works out. But like you said, just very surprising. And moving on to the third round now, we finally get our linebacker that, you and I have been definitely talking about and definitely a need for the Philadelphia Eagles. We kind of alluded to in the mock draft, Davion Taylor from Colorado. I know you said, in the intro that he only played 2 high school games. So, still a good player coming from Colorado, 6'1". He's very speedy. He's not, his frame's not huge being at 6'1", but, very good speed, and he's a hybrid kind of linebacker safety. So, I would love to see this guy get developed and come into this system and be a huge factor for the Eagles. I could definitely see it.
Yeah, this guy is athletic, and watching the only thing I've seen from him, I watched a couple of highlights on YouTube and stuff like that. He can tackle really well as well. And this is, this is a role they really need to fill. It's so much uncertainty with the linebacker position. Like Nathan Gary is like their number 1 guy. They got TJ Edwards. They brought in somebody for agency this offseason. I forget his name though. I think he came from the Chargers or something. It's forgetting, slipping out of my mind. But they drafted a couple linebackers. Actually, to correct myself from earlier, that 7th round pick was actually an outside linebacker, it wasn't defensive end. From Stanford. Okay, so just to clarify. So, I think linebacker is probably one of the most important positions next to wide receiver in this draft, and they took 3 of them on day 3. Well, they took 2 of them on day 3, 1 in day 2, and I like this pick a lot. He seems like a great guy. He's super athletic. Listen, I don't know if he's going to start because they don't. I don't know. They usually only do 2 linebacker sets. They don't really roll out 3, even though they run a 4-3. But this guy could definitely make an impact on the special teams. He's athletic. He can run. So I like the pick a lot, and he has a lot of upside. So I like it a lot. I'll give it like a A-, B+.
Yeah, I mean, I think like you said it pretty well. He's a project right now. He's pretty raw. He has some stuff they got to develop, but he could definitely turn into a good asset for this football team and help that linebacking core out. That's, been, honestly been struggling over the past few years and has kind of been a need for the Eagles over the past few seasons. But now moving to round 4, the Eagles had 2 picks here. The first one was a safety from Clemson, Kavon Wallace, and then second one, which was 18 picks later, was Jack Driscoll.
Yeah, I missed Kavon Wallace earlier. That's my bad.
I know you do. Yeah, and an offensive guard from Auburn. So I think these are two good picks for the Eagles. I really like how they're kind of trying to revamp that safety position with the exit of Malcolm this year. I think Kavon Wallace coming from Clemson is a good pick. He's a little undersized at 5'11", but was a leader on that Clemson football team, and they won a lot of games. So you love to see a guy like that who can really compete, and he's a safety or nickel corner. So that's going to work. Hopefully work into the Eagles' hands for them, and I would love to see how he pans out. And the second pick, Jack Driscoll, I like kind of shoring up the offensive line. You have some questions with Kelsey. He's getting a little older. I know he's a center, but Brooks, very good. Lane's really good, but kind of been bitten by the injury bug the past few seasons. So kind of like this pick where you add some depth to the position. So
yeah, as regards to Kavon Wallace, interesting nugget. I think he was roommates with Brian Dawkins' son at Clemson, which is actually interesting to hear. I like the pick. He, like you said, he was a leader in the Clemson defense. It's good to see a leader from a really good program at Clemson. And he's like this hybrid kind of guy. He can plays in the box mostly, but he can go up and make plays in the secondary, in the slot too as well. He's very versatile. I know that Howie Roseman likes versatile guys for a while. I like that pick a lot, and I think he slid more than people thought he would too. So I thought that was a really good pick. They have him, Jake Driscoll labeled as a tackle, but when the Eagles selected him, they called him a guard. So that's, I'm guessing, where he's going to start with the Eagles. Throw him inside, probably be a backup guard to Sayamalu or Brooks. Like I said earlier, or like what you said earlier, the uncertainty of Jason Kelsey and how long he's going to be playing for. Brandon Brooks has been banged up a little bit. It's kind of I like that they still went after offensive linemen. It's always good to go after offensive linemen and defensive linemen as much as you can. You win in the trenches. So as we're gonna go through all these day 3 picks, there's not a lot of hate. I like a lot of them, and Howie Roseman did a really good job to redeem himself today. So we'll go to round 5 now. Let's see. So in round 5, Eagles traded their 164th pick in exchange for 173rd and 227. So they got more picks in the back end. With that 168th pick, they took wide receiver from Boise State, John Hightower, a fast guy, get downfield. This is every wide receiver they drafted in this draft, which is, a speed guy. And, so they drafted – the only pick they had in the 5th round was that John Hightower pick. So I like that pick. Another speed guy, another guy you could bring in some competition, for the wide receivers after having a bad year. So I like the pick. I'll give it like a B minus.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I kind of scratched my head on this pick. Hightower's 6'1", 189 pounds, and kind of how you said, he's another speed guy. Bringing him in, he was a 23-year-old senior, and last year he had 51 receptions for 943 yards and 8 touchdowns at Boise. So, I mean, yeah, he's a good pick, but I would have liked to see them go with a bigger guy that kind of had a bigger frame. Might have been a little more raw or may have been a little more of a project, but you're picking here in the 5th round. I'm not completely upset with it, but like we were talking about earlier, definitely would have liked to see a bigger guy, maybe a little younger go to the Eagles. But overall, I'd give it a B. And now moving into the 6th round, is where the Eagles selected home, or I guess from New Jersey, pretty local to Philadelphia. Like you said, Sean Bradley from Temple. And he's the inside linebacker from Temple, 6'1", 235. I think, again, the 6th round pick here, not bad for the Eagles. Definitely could shore up that linebacker position. And hopefully maybe getting drafted by his hometown team could maybe motivate him and turn out to be a really good football player for this team in the linebacking core. Kind of, like we said, got to add to that. And then 2 more picks in Quez Watkins from Southern Mississippi. And then offensive tackle Prince Tega Wanhago. It's a nice name.
That's a good guess. I believe he's from I may be wrong, but I believe he's from Nigeria, to be correct.
Okay.
That's what I heard
from
the buddy.
I overall like the 6th round, how it kind of diversified with the picks. You get a linebacker, you get a wide receiver, you get some help on the O-line again. So it's kind of just reassuring positions. like you said, bringing in all these wide receivers to the Eagles this year, I think it's good. I think it's going to put some competition up against them, and hopefully they don't run into an injury bug like they did last year. But maybe this kind of shores up the position a little more and kind of put some more some more depth there if they do catch another injury bug, which we obviously hope they don't. So, what do you think about the 6th round overall?
I like it. I like it a lot. Sean Bradley, local guy, played at Temple, has a lot of familiarity with the Lincoln Financial Field. A lot of people like him too. I don't know if he's going to be able to start. Obviously, same thing with the linebacker, Davon Taylor, but definitely a guy who could, make an impact on special teams and kickoff returns and stuff like that. I really like Quez Watkins from Southern Miss. I was watching him. He's small. He was the second fastest 40 time. He is fast. And after the catch, he's a burner. Obviously, it wasn't the best competition at Southern Miss, but watching his tape, I definitely think he's going to make an impact. He's really good, I think. And then with Prince Tega Waganu, he was a guy who was mocked around like the 3rd round even. So he was mocked pretty high. I think there was a knee issue was the one thing that maybe had him slide a little bit, but he's a guy who they announced him as a tackle, I believe, too. So he's going to probably be a backup tackle for Lane and Dillard. With also they have, Mulata there as well. But he's a guy who I think can step in and play backup tackle and fill in that role very nicely. You don't have to go out in free agency and get one. But yeah, I liked all 3 picks. Like I said earlier, Howie I think, did a fantastic job on day 3, getting a lot of guys and stop on a lot of young players. And also to round out the 7th round pick, I didn't get to see this pick live because we started the podcast, but KC2 Hill, they have him as a defensive end on this one on the website. Let me see what they have on the website. On the website, I don't know if the Eagles called him, but it says a defensive end in a lot of places, outside linebacker. Here's what the Eagles said. The Eagles called him a defensive end. So, so the Eagles got another defensive end, probably some pass rushing ability. It's a 7th round guy. We'll see what he can do in training camp, but they do have a pretty good amount of defensive end rushers with Brandon Graham, Derek Barnett, Gerald Avery. He's a young guy. Some young guy I like a lot. I forget his name now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's another good pick. Kind of adds depth to the position. But real quick, I'm going to go back to Prince out of Auburn. He came into the draft ranked 12th in his position, and an overall rank in the draft of a 91. So, he was, like you said, projected to go pretty high. I mean, a 91 overall ranked player, like you said, that kind of falls into the 3rd round. Maybe could even slip into the end of the 2nd round. So, I really am excited for this guy to come in at 6'5", 308 pounds. He's a big guy, but he could definitely add some depth, and then hopefully you can step in, hopefully as a starter for this football team and kind of add to the strength of that O-line.
Yeah, I agree too. The day 3 was a game changer for me with all these picks and bringing in all these players. I don't know. I know you're a little eerie on the idea of bringing in all these speed guys. I love it because I like to think that they're trying to model this offense closer to the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, with Andy Reid, having a lot of speed guys like Tyreek Hill and Hardman, and a lot of guys can get downfield and make it. Connolly, I think, is another one who can make catches downfield and spread the field. So there's a lot of guys I think that could make an impact on day 3 after a really disappointing day 2. I'll go over because I had this picture on my phone where so the Eagles currently have 14 wide receivers on their roster. So I'll go through all of them. Alshon Jeffrey, Jalen Rieger, Deshaun Jackson, Greg Ward, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Marquise Goodwin, John Hightower, Quez Watkins, Deontay Barnett, Robert Davis, Shelton Gibson, Markin McKell, Marcus Green, and Riverka Kraft. So a lot of guys on the roster right now. They've stockpiled on a wide receiver position, which obviously was an issue last year, we can all say. But I think they did a good job. Obviously, you can cut down Burnett on the last 5. Last 6 guys aren't going to make the team. Probably won't be there for training camp either. But you got guys like Jeffrey, Rieger, Jackson, Ward, Whiteside, Goodwin, Hightower, Watkins. A lot of guys who can. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm really excited to see what happens in camp. And hopefully whenever camp begins, we'll see what happens. But I'm just excited to see what kind of role these guys are going to play and what they can bring to the team.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, these guys are coming back after an all season of obviously rest and recovery. So it's gonna be really interesting to see these guys coming back, to full strength. And a lot of these young guys, like you said, they're gonna be competing for spots and a lot of draftees for the wide receiver position. So, maybe Arcega-Whiteside's gonna get pushed a little more, and then that's gonna raise his intensity and his compete level. And I'm really looking forward to a good season out of Arcega-Whiteside. I know obviously he had the rookie season last year that no one really expected, but I see a lot of upside for this guy. Maybe a year of experience and a little hardship, might push him to that next level. So it's going to be interesting. But now we're going to jump into overall NFL teams picks. What we like, what we don't like, overall grades. So Connor, if you want to start. What's a team that you thought did really well, or even the best team in drafting?
I hate to say this because obviously they're a division rival, but I think the Dallas Cowboys did a pretty good job with their picks. I think all the teams in the NFC East did a pretty good job, especially earlier. In the draft, the Cowboys started off with CeeDee Lamb obviously being very disappointing, seeing him go to Dallas and being that high. He's definitely going to make an impact. Even though they've had a lot of problems on defense, they still found, a guy who can jump right in and make a huge impact. Someone you got to watch out for with Cooper and Gallup on their offense. I'll go round 2. They took Trayvon Diggs. I know you're a little iffy on Trayvon Diggs, but he was definitely somebody we were looking at as well at the corner position. They need help. They better hope he hits because they need help in the secondary because it's bad there after losing Byron Jones, and I think they lost a safety too. I forget who, but in round 2 they did that. Round 3 they took a defensive tackle, Neville Gallimore. I don't know a whole lot about him, but he's an Oklahoma guy. Probably has good connections too. You see the Oklahoma Dallas Cowboy connection is pretty strong. In round 4 they took another corner, Reggie Robinson the second. Round 4 later they took Tyler Baidaz, a center who was really highly ranked, who dropped. They took a defensive end in round 5 from Utah, and then in round 7 they took a quarterback from James Madison. So I think early on did a good job. The problem, you better hope for the Dallas though, these corners hit because they have nothing in the secondary to cover, especially with the Eagles. They drafted a lot of speed. So if these guys start playing well and once deep ball starts hitting, you got big problems, and you're gonna have to start putting up points if you're the Cowboys. So they did a good job, especially early on. They got a center to fill in Travis Frederick, who retired suddenly. But also I'll say the Giants too. The Giants got Andrew Thomas, early. I didn't think that was the offensive tackle that they were going to go with. I think they were going to go maybe with Tristan Wirfs or Jedrick Willis, but they still got their guy. He's pretty highly ranked, and he can come right in and step in and start. In the second round, I got Xavier McKinney. I like Xavier McKinney a lot. He did a good job at Alabama, and he's a big safety that you can rely on. They got a tackle, Matt Pert from UConn. They got a cornerback, Darnay Holmes. They got a lot of linebackers at the back end of the draft. They got a guard. They got a lot of offensive line help. That's what they needed because they needed help protecting DeAndre Jones and Saquon Barkley. So I like what the Giants did too. And obviously the Redskins, they're a little iffy, but they got J.C. Young in the first round, so you can't go wrong with a guy like him.
I agree. To the NFL and making an immediate impact. I hate saying that. Obviously, Redskins division rivals, but that guy just has the thing that he's going to come in here and kind of be a lot of people say, maybe I think Khalil Mack kind of comes to mind when you're talking about Young and, just the speed he gets off on the edge with. So, I really think that, I think the NFC did do well. And, I think it's going to help them in the future. But for the picks that I thought, or the teams that I thought picked very well, the first team that I definitely have to go with is, the Jags. Just by the diversity of the positions and the amount of picks they had, I think they had 12 overall picks, and they really just attacked. The cornerback position was really prevalent. They picked 3 of their 12 picks from cornerbacks. The wide receiver position, they got 2 guys, one out of Colorado and one out of Texas. They got a late round quarterback, 6'6", out of Oregon State. So, I think they're really, struggling, and they obviously have to rebuild and fill a lot of these positions. But I thought they took a really good step in the right direction in the draft. And I think C.J. Henderson and Chase On are going to be two impact players immediately for this football team, just on the defensive end and the success they had, at the respective SEC schools. On the other hand, the other team that I thought picked really well were the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts really went offense heavy here kind of early on. In the first, their first four picks were offense. They get Pittman Jr. out of USC. It wasn't that talked about coming into the draft, 42nd overall ranked, 7th in the wide receiver position. But, he had a pretty good year last year, and I think he's going to help out Rivers. Jonathan Taylor, thought he was an absolute steal. I like Wisconsin, so I think this kid's going to be really good. A good point made about Taylor as well was, the amount of carries and the amount of, action he got at Wisconsin, no injuries. So that's definitely an upside. And Jacob Eason in the 4th round, I think he was projected to go 2nd or 3rd round. So thought this was a great pick for the Colts. I know they were set there, but, Rivers is probably going to be one and done here. 1 year deal he signed. So,
yeah.
I think those two teams did very well in the draft.
No, I agree. And I'll go to the team I don't like. And I thought this was obvious. I thought early on in this draft, they really did blow it. I cited Green Bay Packers. They picked 26 in the 1st round. They took Jordan Love. I like Jordan Love. He definitely has the talent. He has a big arm. He did play in Utah State, which are not the best, teams around. But obviously, we got Carson Wentz from North Dakota State, so I'm not going to complain about that too much. But with Aaron Rodgers, he had a 4-year deal with him. He just came off, I thought, a really good season with him, and he went all the way to the NFC Championship game. But I don't know. This pick just seemed forced. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers, how much amount of time he has left in the league, if he's going to retire soon, or they're just going to get rid of him. But I just didn't. I don't know. I didn't understand that pick too much. They took A.J. Dillon from Boston College, a running back. Again, I don't think that running back was really a big need for them after the year that was Adam Jones had. So
and Williams, they had a pretty good dual running back partnership there. But just real quick to touch on Jordan Love, I kind of thought it was a little forced, a little premature. I know Rodgers is kind of getting to the end of his career. People want to say that. I still think he's got a lot left in the tank, and I think they made a pretty poor decision by bringing in Love at this point. Rodgers is not a guy to really hold back. He kind of voices his opinion, and he even said, he was a little taken back by this pick. So, I understand Packers kind of went after him. He kind of replicates a little bit of what Rodgers is about. He's got the strong arm. He's mobile. He can throw on the run. He's a good pocket, he's a good quarterback in that regard. But I don't think Rodgers has a year or two left. I think he has 4 or 5 years left. Barring any major injury. So yeah, I think it's an interesting pick, and I definitely don't think a running back's needed theirs. They lost Blake Martinez this year in the linebacking core. I think they could have taken a guy. There's some good linebackers on the board in the 2nd round too.
Yeah, they took A.J. Dillon in the 2nd round. I didn't really like that. They took a tight end, Josiah Deguara from Cincinnati. They took a linebacker in the 5th round, Kamal Martin from Minnesota. They took John Runyon's kid in the 6th round from Michigan. So, but they took a lot of guys in the back end, 6th and 7th round, but they really needed to address wide receiver. They didn't touch it, which is surprising because this is a heavy wide receiver class, and they didn't get any wide receivers. So, I don't know. I thought that this is a pretty bad draft for the Packers. Now, obviously, when we address these drafts, you're really not going to know the answer until like 2 or 3 years down the line when you get a better idea what kind of players these are going to be. But I don't know. I think the Jordan Love thing was I thought the Packers were going to be one of the teams going to be trying to go after him. I thought maybe the Patriots, if he was there, they probably would have taken him. But, yeah, I think that here an interesting nugget I heard also talking with Adam Kaplan. He was talking about Jalen Hurts, and he said that if Jordan Love was there in the 2nd round, which obviously he wasn't going to, but if Jordan Love was there, they would have taken Jordan Love, which is like they were in. I don't know if they would have taken him, but they were interested in him. So if that's we'll get back to that dynamic with the Eagles earlier, but I don't know with the Packers. I thought it was forced too. I don't think that. I don't know. People are there's rumors going around that Aaron Rodgers' career is not going to last as long as people think it is. So I don't know. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers is going to do, but I don't know. You just signed a 4-year deal with him. So you were locked in 4 years. That's the whole thing with the Eagles too. Like you sign a long-term deal with Carson Wentz, but you're bringing in another quarterback. So,
well, it's an interesting perspective here from kind of looking from the angle of LaFleur came in. He's a new coach. McCarthy was there for a while, and he Favre on the back end of his career, and then Rodgers was his guy when he was there. And I think a little bit of what LaFleur's thinking is, we had the success with this team, and I'm sure Rodgers gives him a little pushback, but he's right there. He's been there for a while. But I think this was kind of a coaching decision. I think that LaFleur wanted to, take a quarterback for the future, and I think he believes that Rodgers really doesn't have a long time left in the league, at least with the Packers. So, I think this was a real coaching decision and taking Love. But now moving on to probably my biggest loser of the draft. And this is only because they had 4 picks. That's going to be the New Orleans Saints. They took a center in the first round from Michigan, Cesar Ruiz, big guy, 6'3", 307. He can play some different positions on the line as well. They talked about. So now he'll be really good, for Drew Brees and whoever the quarterback in the future is there. They took who I thought the Eagles should have taken in the second round, Zach Bond from Wisconsin. They kind of addressed that linebacker need, but their secondary is short up. You have Jenkins, Lattimore, Garner, Webb. You have those guys back there. So, they took care of the defensive need, but still just the lack of picks, the 4 picks. I think they could have used some help in some other areas, maybe a wide receiver to come in, kind of take the spotlight off of Thomas. So, yeah, probably my losers for the draft. I'd give it to the Saints.
yeah, I don't know, because it's hard to pick losers. It has to be a glaring loser. And obviously, I think the Packers and the Saints are obviously not great. I know that people have seen the Eagles as losers, mostly because obviously the Jalen Hurts pick is just so bizarre. I don't see the rationale from it. But if you look at day 3 and Jalen Reagor in the first round, it's actually not that bad of a draft. If I had to rank the Eagles draft, personally, I'd probably give it like a C+. I think they would have killed it if it wasn't for the Jalen Hurts pick. I still don't know why, but I think Howie Roseman's probably going to meet with the media as soon as the draft wrapped up. And maybe, there's going to be a lot of Jalen Hurts questions still because people are still don't really know.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. I think it's really more of the where we used it to get him. I think if we got him in the 3rd or 4th round, some people would still be like, why are we taking a quarterback with Wentz getting signed to a 4-year deal? But maybe it would make, a little more sense for a backup. But yeah, I think the biggest thing that people are really, the questions are really coming in about and people are scratching their head about is, why use a 2nd round pick when there's some other positions that are probably, I'm not going to say there are some, there are positions that need to be filled, and the linebacker was kind of a vital one. But the questions will definitely keep following with that, and the press conference you said is a little bit later.
It's one of the most interesting picks I think I've ever seen because I'd really like to know why they took him because most people have Jalen Hurts as a 3rd, 4th round prospect as a quarterback, strictly as a quarterback. His arm talent's not the best. It's pretty good. He was in a great system with Alabama and then a great system with Oklahoma. So he put up really good numbers for a college quarterback. But it's mostly his running ability. He's really strong. He can bully over people with his strength. He's a great leader, great guy. And he doesn't have a bad arm. He's pretty accurate, but he doesn't have like an NFL caliber arm. I wonder if they would have taken him in like the end of the 3rd round. I think nobody would have batted an eye as much. They'd still be a little bit surprised, but they wouldn't be, they wouldn't get an F because a lot of people are giving him Fs for that pick. But I don't know. I like to see what the usage. What's the point of drafting Jalen Hurts? Is he going to play this Taysom Hill role, and you're going to develop him and hopefully trade him for a better asset down the line if teams get desperate, or is he someone that you drafted because you're nervous about Carson Wentz's future concerning his injuries? I don't know. I really don't know. For how Roseman says this has nothing to do with Carson Wentz's ability or his injury history. It says that they draft him because they really like him, and he's going to play a different kind of unique role with the offense. And obviously, Doug Peterson's a very creative guy, so he's going to try and find something for him. But I don't know. There's not a lot of answers that I know. Hopefully that when Howie Roseman talks to the media later today, he can give some more answers.
Definitely. So, and real quick, definitely we want to touch on the trade today that was made. And that's the Eagles acquiring Marquise Goodwin, as well as a 6th-round pick in exchange for the Eagles' 6th-round pick. And that means the Eagles just moved 20 spots back in the draft in the 6th round. And, they acquire, again, a speedy guy, as you mentioned, has had some injuries and kind of kept him on the sidelines for a lot of last season with San Fran. But, I think if this guy can stay healthy, he can definitely be a good receiver for the Eagles next year, as well as, in the future. He's still relatively young and can bring a lot to this team.
Yeah, that's the key question, is staying healthy. That's been a big problem for him. He's no doubt a burner, and and he can fly, really. And he's a great guy, too. He's a great locker room guy. But yeah, listen, I'm liking that how he's bringing a lot of speed guys. I think the biggest problem is you have Wentz, who is, in my opinion, a big arm quarterback. He has a huge arm. He can throw it down the field. He's never had the guys on his team that can get downfield for him. We saw Deshaun Jackson the first week against the Redskins last year. He had 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. And he never had a guy like that, and he was able to get downfield and show how big Wentz's arm is. And that's so important, especially in today's football or today's game. So I like it. I like that he went after all these speed guys, especially Marquise Goodwin, a veteran too. I think he's like 29. Also, interesting thing here, the Golden Tate comp pick they got from when Golden Tate signed the Giants, they turned it into Sean Browley, the Temple linebacker, Quez Watkins, the wide receiver from Southern Miss, Casey Tuhill, that defensive end they drafted from Stanford, and a 5th-round pick next year. So they took 3 players in the draft pick next year for Golden Tate's comp pick from going to the Giants. So, I mean, that's pretty good for Howie Roseman, too. Even though that the second day was pretty bad, he still found a way to redeem himself a little bit.
Yeah, and I think he did a really good job in this draft, kind of acquiring picks and, like you just said, kind of turning picks in the more for future years as well. But I think the biggest overlying the overlying factor in this whole thing is the Jalen Hurts pick in the 2nd round, and I think a lot of people are upset with that and can't really come to grips of why you would draft a quarterback there behind Wentz. So it's kind of unfortunate that kind of dawns over the progress and the moves he made in the draft, not just in the 1st round, but overall day 2 and day 3. So, I think Goodwin's really going to come in and hopefully stay healthy for us, but also, kind of expand the field with all these other speed receivers we have.
Yeah, for sure. I think it wasn't day 3. I think it was an A+. I really do. I thought it was A+ effort from Howie bringing in. And the important thing is from round 5 to round 4 to round 7, like you find a lot of these guys, and these guys fill out, your roster. If you look at Super Bowl teams, there's a lot of mid-round guys, a lot of late round guys that you have to find. And Howie hasn't been the best at it. He's overall drafting has been a little bit of a disappointment. He does the best with handling the cap and signing free agents, but he found a lot of guys who can maybe come in and find a role and find a niche with this team. So I'm happy with it. Day 2 with Jalen Hurts is the only problem. I give that pick like a D- and F. Other than that, I like the linebacker they got in the 3rd round. And I like Jalen Reagor. I think Jalen Reagor is going to have an impact from day 1. I don't think he's going to be a superstar 1 wide receiver, but I don't think you need that in today's NFL. You just need guys who can get downfield and get open. So I don't know. I'm starting to come around to this draft because today was really good, but I still want answers from Jalen Hurts pick and what the role is going to be for him and how much we're going to see him. It's going to make preseason football exciting because when Carson Wentz is not playing, he's going to be on the sideline. Get to see Jalen Hurts play instead of watching like Clayton Thorson. So, which is like,
I agree, definitely from an entertainment perspective. Yeah. He's going to be good. But I don't really want to put the pick completely down. I mean, yeah, it happened and we have him now. I know you definitely want answers, and so do I, and I think every Eagles fan does. But now we kind of got to look forward and see how we can really utilize them in this system. And like you said, in preseason we'll get a little taste of that, but I'm sure in the regular season they're going to kind of be using them through and through as a Taysom Hill guy, and hopefully, he does become that Swiss Army knife for us. Because Taysom Hill undrafted, but or maybe 7th round. Sorry.
I think he was undrafted.
Undrafted. He might have 7th rounder undrafted, but he holds a lot of value. So a guy like that can definitely turn into a huge asset for your team and definitely help you in all offensive sets. So it's gonna be interesting, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of free agents out there too. If you were trying to look, if you're trying to add, you got Logan Ryan, Dre Fitzpatrick, or Kirkpatrick, Delaney Walker is a tight end. Don't really need him. Jadeveon Clowney, we don't want him. Everson Griffin still out there. Darqueze Dennard as a corner. Devontae Freeman, if you want to bring in a running back with Scott and Sanders. You got Marcel Darius, Taylor Gabriel. You don't really need a wide receiver now, but there's still some guys out there. And if you remember back to the Super Bowl season, how we added a lot of these free agents after the draft too. Like Chris Long was a big one that they added later in season or later in the offseason that made a huge impact on that Super Bowl run. So it's not over yet. And hopefully, we're going to be on the fast track to another exciting football season with with training camp coming up. We don't know what's going to happen, if they're going to push anything off. I saw something come up on my phone earlier. Doesn't really have anything to do with the NFL, but it has something to do with the NBA. NBA is going to allow open facilities. Starting May 1st, teams can open practice facilities to players in places where stay-home orders have been eased. So basically, places like Georgia has been one that's been really open about opening up places. So like Atlanta would be a place to open up facilities. Obviously, the Knicks won't be opening up their facility anytime soon. So, I think, hopefully hopefully by when it'll be right around July, maybe, right around July when camp's about to start, this thing starts to die down a little bit and you can get back to, training camp and the season. And hopefully I like to see some of these guys we drafted today get in camp and watch them play.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, with everything going around, a lot of uncertainty, so we can't really project if everything's going to stay the schedule, and if it changes, what's going to be the variations. But I'm definitely in the same boat. Love to see. This weekend was awesome, getting a little live sports action, if you will, through the draft, and a little excitement. So yeah, definitely excited for training camp and to see what what these moves and these picks can really bring to the Eagles, and hopefully don't run into an injury season again with a lot of guys going down. So hopefully everyone's rested and recovered and ready to go.
Did you see this pick by the Dolphins in round 6? They picked Blake Ferguson, a long snapper.
Okay.
They picked a long snapper in round 6.
I saw the Patriots got a place kicker in.
Yeah, they did.
Round
5th round. Yeah, they took Justin Warwasser from
Marshall.
Yeah, from Marshall.
Yes, I mean, and they also took a guy out of Nor Rhine, which is a D2 school. Apparently, this guy though, Kyle Duggar, he has a lot of potential, a lot of speed, length, size. Has big hands. They said can really help cover a lot of ground, and he's good in man and tight coverage. So this is just another Bill Belichick trade, kind of going to work, doing the extra homework. Digs up a D2 guy that can really bring, potentially a lot to the Patriots defense and their secondary, and a great pick. I got to give it to him on this one. And also, just turning a lot of picks, turning their first pick into even, more picks. I think they had 11 in the total draft. So,
yeah, no, I agree. Stockpiling a lot of these picks and getting these players. It was an exciting draft, I thought, for how virtual it was, and it wasn't, it was different than usual. But I thought it was exciting. I always like the draft. I always like seeing the players that we can get and bring in. Always brings the exciting optimism for fan bases all across the NFL, especially in a time like this. So, yeah, I'm excited for the season to come up, and I'm excited for what the Eagles can do, and ready to just get football going. Hopefully, I get some football in for the fall.
Definitely, man. So, I think that just about wraps it up.
Anything you want to put in before we end, or no?
Nah, man. I'm excited. Great covering the draft the other night, and like you said, thanks if you tuned in. We really appreciate it. definitely stay tuned. You know, next episode we're looking at some guests coming on to kind of interview. So stay tuned for that, and check out the Instagram and our Twitter at Mark_Connor_show. So check it out. Give us a follow. Definitely comment. Let us know what you think. What what we should talk about. Anything like that. So thank you to everyone for tuning in, and good doing this.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I appreciate everybody tuning in for the live stream too. I know we had a lot of people tune in and leave comments on our stream as well. I know I love doing that type of stuff. I love watching and reacting to the draft and joining you. Also, Zach, who came on with us as well. So, hopefully sometime we'll do it soon again, maybe for, the NHL or NBA draft in the summer. Whenever that happens, I'll definitely do that again. Got to read up on that stuff too. So hopefully whenever sports start, we can get back going, do some more live stream stuff. But till then, alongside Mark Rogers, I'm Connor Gabe. We'll see you guys next week.